We've been drifting in space for a while. I'm starting to get bored. Alright, anyways, Luma, it's your turn. Truth or dare?
I choose truth. No, wait. Dare. No, wait, I changed my mind. I choose truth. That's my final answer.
Luma, it's fine. It's whatever. What else can we do? I'm bored right now.
How about writing a story about our own adventures?
Wait, seriously?
Talk about what you did. From the arena fight to meeting us, etc., and so forth. You know how.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's cool. Like, I'm down with it, though. But, like, why can't you guys write your parts and then I write our parts, you know? Because we weren't there for yours. Or, you know, why can't Greg write his part?
Greg is too lazy to write. Even if he did, he'd mess it up.
It's okay. I'll just tell you telepathically.
Okay, as cool as that sounds, I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, how long is that gonna take?
Oh my gosh, Jadix.
We're not doing anything anyways. We're just drifting in space right now.
I mean, you guys got a point.
Stop stalling.
All right. I'll write it. Let me just go to a room.
Wait, could you possibly write a small introduction?
An introduction?
Well, since we're heading to Earth, when they eventually hear about this, they may not understand what certain things are. We are from a different world.
Okay.
Don't leave anything out. Anything.
All right, I won't. Jeez, okay, fine. All right, introduction. In this story, you're gonna hear some unfamiliar words and learn about some very faraway places. Gumans, Linton, Bluss. Weird at first, but you'll catch on. My telepath friend here, he's helping me writing this. Something about tapping into my memory center to put pieces together. I'm sure you might be thinking, oh, why doesn't the telepath write it? And let me tell you, I said the exact same thing. But he insists I do all the work, as usual. Even though parts of the story would make more sense for him to write, considering, you know, he was there and I wasn't. Rather than telling me what to write. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this story. Geographically, Hexam is similar to Earth. You Earthlings live in cities or towns inside of countries inside of continents. We do as well, but we don't call them continents, or referred by its name, Nujik. Nujik is where I live. There are a lot of different climates as well. Nujik has an average temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. In terms of size, Nujik is about the size of North America, South America, and Africa combined. That's where most of the population stays, because that's what climate fits most of the race and species that inhabit the planet. However, there are other land masses that really only hold their indigenous people and animals that can only live in the extreme heat or extreme cold. This kind of feels into the culture layout of Hexam too. With Nujik being the most populated area on the planet, there are many different types of people. Dang it. I guess I gotta make a quick history lesson. Okay, I'm only gonna say this once, or if you want to read it again. Around 4,000 years ago, 5 different tribes ruled Nujik. There were no conflict of any kind. In fact, they're all very good friends, despite their cultural differences. Because of how massive the continent is, the tribes had trouble meeting with each other, so they rapidly worked on upgrading transportation. It's because of this determination, Hexam is one of the most technologically advanced planets in the solar system. As their land vehicles got more efficient, the nation started to take on the challenges of the air and the water. Through hard work, they tackled the challenge with ease, and started exploring the rest of their planets. They met people from a landmass the size of Australia called Kui. It was completely made of ice and constantly had harsh winds and snow. There was another civilization, Iform, that settled inside an underwater volcano that crowned just above sea level. To enter each place, the representatives of Nujik needed a body temperature regulator. Luckily, they invented those many years prior. Both of the civilizations accepted Nujik's friendship. That meant borders were open for everyone, and any technology needed to live there was provided. There wasn't any go back to your country or other ignorance like that. They saw each other as family because they shared one planet. In the year 3017, the first successful expedition to another planet took place. The people of Nujik sent 20 representatives from each tribe to explore the solar system. Within those 20, they were broken into groups of 5 and put on separate ships. For those like me who suck at math, there were 4 ships with 25 people. One ship went to Yurlo, another to Harmony, the third, Hufkad, and the last to a planet with no name. You will learn a good amount of these planets and their people later in the story.
Yurlo and Harmony both accepted the diplomacy from Hexium and extended the same open border offer.
Hufkad wanted nothing to do with them and didn't want Hexium's people occupying their planet, nor did they want Hufkadites going anywhere else. However, many people of Hufkad hated the planet and had to escape rather than travel. Hexium had a pretty decent Hufkadite population, and they are accepted with open arms just like everyone else. While the leaders of Hufkad are completely against this, they know better than to try to start a war with Hexium. Among the original 5 tribes, there was a lot of race mixing. They still stayed true to their own cultures and partook in traditions. However, this wasn't difficult for 2 reasons. 1, there were only 4 other cultures to know about, and 2, they weren't that different from each other. So, most of the difference came from their abilities, which I will get to soon. The original 5 tribes, as I mentioned, had lots of mixing since the very beginning. At first, this just resulted in children with both abilities, but as time went on, the powers began combining. If that's confusing, hopefully my explanation later will help.
On top of the already combined abilities,
Once other races and species came to New Jik, they too started to mix in with the indigenous population. That is why everyone on the planet now looks so different from each other and have very different abilities. But they aren't all as grand and big as you think. Abilities range from an extra heart to heat-resistant skin to weather manipulation. With that, let me explain the tribes. The first one is Throne. Geographically, they occupy the entire eastern coast of New Jik and a good distance island. They had the ability to breathe underwater and store water in an internal organ that allowed to shoot it out at high pressure. They did a lot of underwater hunting and went to all coasts of New Jik to assist in that field of gathering. Next is Grishel. These tribes' people were very close to humans, except they had enhanced senses. They can control the sensitivity and had extensive sensory memory. This was a tribe that lived in the middle of the landmass. Po was located on the west coast of New Jik, which was almost entirely mountains. Because of that, there was a lot of snow in the winter and a lot of rain in the summer. Some Po people lived in caves in the mountains, while others lived at the base or even under them. They had the ability to shift their molecular density and go through objects or harden their bodies. Talampe occurred the northern areas, which were full of fertile land. It was almost magical how all their crops succeeded. The people of this area could communicate with plants and animals, including the bugs that held the ground. Much of New Jik's produce came from them. Last was Vogs, the southern tribe. These people were able to control and produce vibrations. A big part of their culture was music. They created the most wonderful sounds, and once a year, they will work together to blast that music into the air so the entire landmass could hear. Now, to the power mixing. At first, if someone from Vogs had a child with Po, the kid would either take both abilities or just one. However, time went on and so much mixing happened that children began to be able to vibrate their bodies at a speed that caused them to ignite whatever they touched. Or their legs would vibrate so fast they ran at insane speeds. And this was only with New Jik's natives. This doesn't account for the people of Kui and High Form, who had their own unique sets of qualities. The Kui people could control their body fat levels to adapt to temperatures, and the High Form people had extra lung filters and webbed fingers and toes. When the borders opened, so did the path to more power density. Then the borders opened between worlds, and yeah, as I said, lots of different powers and people here. Currently, there aren't tribal areas or occupied spaces. New Jik is broken into territories with their own governments that work together with the New Jik government. People who hail from Talope don't solely live in the north. In fact, just because someone was born in Nujik doesn't mean they live there. They could live in Kui or even in Harmony. Hexham kind of reminds me of Earth. Earth, but more unified. Yeah, there are many different race, languages, and the days, seasons, and years are the same length, but racism isn't really a thing. Or sexism. Those problems seem to be strictly human. But there is crime. Lots and lots of crime driven by greed.
The western part of the landmass called Nujik,
Kind of like the United States, has the most notorious murderers, traffickers, and crime bosses. Like my boss. Well, ex-boss.
Puntuk pissed off his partner and got me into this hero mess.
But he did unintentionally introduce me to my best friends. You know, the guys that are on the ship. I'm getting ahead of myself though. To properly enjoy this story, let's start from the beginning. Kraos is a massive mountain of a man. No one dared to challenge his strength. Word has gone around that he has killed over 300 people, 200 of which were with his bare hands.
Puntuk, on the other hand,
Was a regular sized guy with regular strength, but where he lacked in physical,
he made up for it mentally.
he's the reason the two haven't been arrested yet.
Puntuk knows exactly who in the government to blackmail and who to bribe.
Every single action he took was calculated, and he took all variables into account. Together, they were the most feared men on the planet. Even surrounding planets heard the rumors about the gangs who double-crossed the two men. In 4079, 2018 for Earth, the unthinkable happened. Puntush double-crossed Kraos. No one could have seen this coming. Without Kraos,
Puntuk had no way to protect himself.
Without Puntuk, Kraos had no way to strategize. Crazy situation, right? Well, it gets crazier. Kraos knew he didn't have the intellectual capability of finding his partner, so he hired a bounty hunter and an assassin. However, his partner isn't dumb.
Puntuk knew Kraos would pull something like that.
To protect himself, he hired two of the best gladiators in our solar system, Linton. And that's where I come in.